Hey Nikki, how are you?
Hey Mel, I'm really good. It's nice to see you. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. We're both in Spain, but in different spots in Spain, so it always makes it interesting chatting on Zoom. So Nikki, part of your business, Nikki Addis Lifestyle, you get to talk to lots of different people about lots of things to do with health and fitness and lifestyle and the whole thing.
Yes.
You said that maybe you had a question for me that maybe I can answer for you today, and then we can see how we can help some people. How can I help?
Well, I've been talking to my group about your travels, and everyone is very interested to find out more. And I'm sure you get this all the time. They've got their normal living. How can she do this? How can she live out of a bag? So they're fascinated. One question that we picked up on yesterday. We're all a little bit sleepy. Everyone's trying to get back into routine after Christmas. And I said, how do you think Mel feels? You all go home to your own bed. What about if you were traveling? Can you sleep on an aeroplane? Oh,
Yeah,
no way. Oh, so these are the type of things, and sleep is really important to all of us.
yeah,
How do you manage?
yeah. Really good question. There's probably lots of aspects to it, so I'll try and summarise as best I can. And if we need to expand on something later with another question, another video, we can do that. For starters, I've always slept fairly well. So I can't say that I'm an insomniac, but I've certainly gone through phases like everybody when you've got a stressful life and things happening and circumstance to make it better and worse. So I suppose the best way for me to answer that is more to do specifically with my travels rather than just my
Mm-hmm.
general life at home previously and all of that sort of stuff. I suppose one of the big things is that with sleep in general, I think it has a lot to do with your health in general. So, the fact that I exercise a lot naturally in everything that I do, and then add on extra that I'm eating really well, and, limiting exposure to screens and things in the evenings before I go to bed. And I think that applies to anybody in any life, and I still do that while I travel. Um, but I think one of the other big things for me has been my upbringing. I'm from one of 7 children. So we got taught we had to be able to sleep regardless of the noise. My mum was never quiet around us. In fact, if she thought we were sleeping too long, she clattered pots and pans. So you just kind of got used to being around noise. But even having said that, I'd lived by myself for a very long time, so I've kind of got out of the habit of that. And it was a real culture shock for me coming from Australia into Italy initially, and Spain is the same. It is so noisy here. Like, everybody's out until midnight. I go to bed early, so everybody's out until midnight and they're just down in the street, and it sounds like they're in the bedroom with you, and their voices are
Yeah.
so loud, and the family and the it's everywhere. And very late, and people, families screaming at one another and arguing and talking, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then all the walls in Spain and Italy are very thin, so
Super thin.
super thin, so you hear everything. So I still had to get used to that. And the sheer timing, I'm a very early morning person and always have been all of my life, so I tended to wake up at between 4 and 5 in the morning and go to bed
Mm-hmm.
early. And of course, Europe's much later than that. So the logistics of that, yes, my sleep has been quite unsettled, and I'm only starting to manage it a bit better now because of just that alone. I'd wake up at 4 or
Mm-hmm.
5 in the morning, and of course, no one's awake. There's nothing I can do. And then I couldn't get to bed until midnight or 1 o'clock because we didn't have dinner till 10 o'clock. And, I was just completely out of like this permanent jet lag. I am starting to get used to it now. I think the kicker with everything to do with my travels, and this is no different, is to learn to be flexible. And I don't know that, I'm not saying it's the optimum way of health. I'm saying it's the best way to manage. So I don't necessarily sleep solidly 8 hours every night through. I
Mm-hmm.
often have friends who contact me in the middle of the night wanting to talk to me from other time zones. I just wake up naturally sometimes and can't get back to sleep, and this time zone walk. So if I've woken up, say at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I can't just automatically fall back to sleep, what I tend to do now is just get up, or don't get up, I stay in bed, but I meditate. Because I think there's no use laying here doing the whole, I need to sleep, I really need to sleep, I've only got 2 hours left until I have to get up, and then I'm going to have to get, and then I'm going to be so tired today, and what am I going to do? And do that run through. You still don't sleep and you just get stressed.
Mm.
So I figure, well, I might as well do something productive. I don't want to get up and do something productive because then my mind will start worrying. I like to meditate. If I don't fall back to sleep in my meditation, then I have had a great meditation. Quite often I just fall asleep and the meditation goes out the door, but mission accomplished. I've got back to sleep. Yay!
Excellent work. Yes.
And I think the other thing with that is from my lifestyle, which doesn't necessarily apply to everybody else, but possibly can, is to I'm not so caught up in this whole paradigm that you have to sleep 8 hours a night. I tend to sleep a lot less than that since menopause, but if I slept 4 hours at night and then at 2 o'clock in the afternoon I'm sleepy, I feel up and go to sleep. And I'd like to think that on average, I sleep to 6 to 8 hours a day. And some days I go a bit less and some days I go a bit more, and I don't beat myself up for that. I don't have this thing around, oh, you can't have a nana nap or a cat nap or whatever you want to call it in the middle of the day. I go, yeah, it doesn't matter. I can do that. And I certainly think in Spain we have plenty of opportunity to do that because there is this siesta time. And I think we need to get away from this thing of we really shouldn't. It's being lazy of us to sleep in the middle of the day. So, I think being flexible is really important and making the most of opportunities. If you feel tired and you have the opportunity, sleep and then do something later.
Being flexible is the same as being adaptable, because again, you don't know where you're going to be sleeping. You need to get yourself comfortable. So that's where the meditation obviously will help to calm the body down as well, and just to accept the surroundings around you.
Yeah.
And help you to sleep off, hopefully.
And, that's the other thing too, is that I'm sleeping in different beds. Some are more comfortable than others. Some are warmer than others, colder than others. I've learnt now what is important to me. The bed can be as wonderfully warm as it likes, but if the room is cold, I end up, putting an arm out through the night and then it's cold and then I wake up because I'm cold and I'm trying to put it back in and tangle myself through. So I've just now kind of make sure that when I go into a home, or even when I book a pet sit, because I do house and pet sitting as I travel, that I say to them in advance, I feel the cold badly. Will there be a heater in my room? I need that. And if they say, no, there's only one in the lounge, I probably wouldn't take the pet sit. I seriously wouldn't, because it's not worth my health to suffer poor sleep for 2 weeks. I had one place where I actually slept on the couch, a really hard couch with the dog, for a month because I couldn't sleep in the bedroom and I was so uncomfortable and I got unwell, and I just can't afford to do that. So I think even if you're living in your own house, it's going, okay, obviously potentially compromises need to be made with partners and pets and all of that sort of stuff, but understanding what makes you more comfortable. I know that I often have problems with my hips, especially when I walk a lot. So I know that a cushion between my knees is essential. So another thing I go looking for is a spare pillow or cushion, and I'll take it off the lounge or do whatever, and I just grab those things because I know now I need those to do well. In hostels, the same. I walk in and if there's one mingy little blanket on the bed, the first thing I say is, I need more blankets than that. I need something else. Can you help me with that? And try.
So basically asking for exactly what you plan ahead, pre-planning, always is going to help you in that situation. So to think ahead a little bit.
Yeah, and really understanding, and I think it comes with body awareness. I think it comes with more health, with more being in the moment and not being so busy doing a busy life, that you become aware of what your body needs. And I think that's one of the real advantages to doing what I do, is that I become more and more aware and in tune with my own body and going, okay, when this happened, it made me feel unwell. And not just going, oh, that must have been because of the person or the circumstances. No, actually it was because I was cold. And that's actually, I know a lot of people love the cold and they thrive on it. You know, we've talked about genetics in the past. My genetics say that I'm not good in the cold. Accept that, work with it, do what's right for you is really, really important. The other thing is understanding pets. Like I do house and pet sitting. So sometimes, you know, the first night I'll get here, I'll suss out the pet. Sometimes it depends. Sometimes if they're the type of pet that likes to sleep in bed with you, sometimes I won't let them the first night until I check them out. Because once you've let them in once, you've got to let them in or they'll howl at the door
all the time.
So sometimes I'll just see if they're the type of dog that's likely to nudge you all night long and then go, no, this isn't going to happen. You know, I'll curl up with them on the couch, but they're not coming into the bedroom. Other times I just suss out each situation.
Depends on the situation.
Yeah. So, as for public transport is another thing. Once again, I like to take a lot of night buses. So, and purposefully book them that way because I think it's a great way to get around. But I make sure that I book the back seat. I make sure that if it's necessary, if I'm going a really long way, you know, it can be 10 euros to go such a long distance in Europe. And if it's 10 hours on a bus, sometimes I'll book 2 tickets side by side just to make sure I have 2 seats.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
But I know some routes that are normally in off season easier, don't even worry about that. But also, once again, knowing that I have, just reach over, I just realised it's here. So this is a big scarf. You know, I will have a lot of soft, squishy things with me. I have a dress that's made out of a piece of fabric and I use it as a blanket on the bus. I will have this scarf with me. I can wrap it around my neck if there's a breeze blowing through the bus. I can use it as a pillow. I use travel cubes, which I didn't have right in front of me. And I often have those stuffed with, you know, a spare set of clothes, some underwear and things like that. It's soft, then I can use it as a pillow. I actively have things that will make me as comfortable as I can make myself on the bus. So having that and not being afraid to sleep, like finding that if you're a snorer, hey, the neighbours are going to have to suck it up, aren't they? I know that I snore if I've got my head backwards, so I tend to sleep on my side anyway, knowing that. And I think the other thing for me is that I travel a lot. I'm active, I eat well, I live a busy life. So my body is tired. So when I get on a 10 o'clock bus at night, I am tired. I don't rest up knowing I'm going to be travelling all night. I make myself tired so that I will sleep as much as I can. It's not perfect sleep, but it's better. So I go out on that sleep. But I'm also not self-conscious. So it's not unusual for me to set an alarm, and you must set an alarm, in the airport lounge and just curl up on the floor and go to sleep. And I'll drag my luggage around me and lay on it, and I will sleep on the lounge, on the airport lounge floor, on a bus terminal floor. I will lay on my luggage, lay on it so someone doesn't pinch it, and it's also cushioning. And I don't have a problem with that. I exercise in those places. I sleep anywhere. If I need sleep, I just sleep. And yeah, no one has a problem with it.
Because when we get used to a certain amount of sleep, I mean, we've been told 8 hours sleep is essential. You get this thing in your head, you know, I have to sleep, and then sometimes you can prevent that. So you end up not sleeping, and then, you know, we make this big thing out of, oh, I can't focus because I haven't slept. When really, like you just said, we can do anything we want if we put our mind to it, become flexible and adaptable, and listen to other options that we have from other people.
Yeah, it really is about just accepting that, you know, I can't sleep in this moment for whatever reason. And it can be because you're stressed about something. You know, I certainly have that where I think, I've got to how am I going to get from A to B, and you know, all of that, same as everybody. And I just go, you know what, I'm just, as you say, the more that you run over in your head, I have to sleep, it's not going to happen. The other thing that I've noticed, and I don't know whether it's just particular to me, but I used to be I need 8 hours sleep person, and I really did. If I went more than a couple of nights without a consistent 8 hours sleep, I was really dysfunctional.
Me?
Yeah, but the last probably 5 to 10 years, once I kind of hit perimenopausal status, it just started to cut back. And I actually found now that about 6 hours sleep is enough for me. And I rarely sleep longer than that. So that's kind of handy. I believe that as we age, it will go back again to a little bit later, longer sleep again at some point, maybe. But yeah, I find that I really only need 6 hours sleep a night now as well. So that changes over our life. We know teenagers need 10 hours sleep. We know babies need lots of sleep and differing amounts as we age. So don't beat yourself up. You might be just going through a phase where you don't need quite as much. So, but you know how you feel. If you're always walking around going, oh my God, I need sleep, you need more sleep.
Yeah, otherwise we become really crouchy people.
Yeah, yeah, really crouchy people. And it affects us really badly. I mean, they say it's the worst form of torture. Sleep deprivation has always been used as a torture principle. So, you know, that's why babies are such torturous little critters sometimes. And same with animals, cats that come and jump on you at midnight and all of those things. So.
Just what you want in a strange house on the first night.
I know. And I should mention too, the strange house thing. Yeah, that's another thing that's really important. I've kind of lost that a bit over time. But it does take a bit of adjusting too, if you're used to being in the same place, and people always say we love our own bed, is just not to get too caught up with that. I do make sure that I do like smudging, especially if I come into a house and I feel the energy is bad. I don't discount that. I don't just go, oh, this house feels dark. I really struggle in dark houses. I like everything open, and I tend to open my window curtains so that the sun wakes me up in the morning. And I like that if it's private enough, of course. So don't discount that. If you're in a place where you go, oh, I don't like the feel of it here, I do try and make changes that make it more this rearranging thing. When I go into a pet sit, I will usually photograph the house, and it's not to share. It's just purely because if I move things. I kind of go, I don't want to damage their china. I'm going to move that all over there, pull out the things that I need. I'm going to go into the bedroom. I just did it here. The side lamp is on the other side of the room, which is totally useless to me. So I brought it over and I've got it perched beside my bed. And so I just bring it around to what I need, and then I put it all back when I go. So once again, it's looking around your bedroom now and saying, why does it feel comfortable to me, or why is it not feeling comfortable to me? But what bedrooms in the past have felt really comfortable to me? What features are those? How can I adjust my current environment to sit and fit that in as best I can? And I have my own I have a little wind chime that I carry with me. You know, that sounds bizarre when I have almost no luggage, and a couple of crystals, and I put those out beside my bed. So it feels like my home. I put my things around, I move their things out of the way and go, this is my space now. Ta-da, and we sit in here. Yeah.
So you mentioned then smudging.
Mm.
Could you just explain what smudging is to those that wouldn't understand that, or never heard that before?
Sure, and I've got to say, you know, it's not a concept that I know huge amounts about. People have just done it to me or for me in my homes at times, and I thought, and it seems to help, so I do it. So I buy white sage, and I just walk around. You do have to be careful if you're in a house with smoke detectors. So you light it and you get it into a soft burn so it's quite smoky. And I just walk around the house and I just basically wave that around, especially getting into any little dark corners, especially in any rooms I don't feel comfortable with. And I just walk around. I tend to say a little mantra, and that's probably different for everybody. So I don't want to influence anybody on that, but a mantra of, you know, inviting good things into me in this home. And then walking around, and then I often open up the windows and doors and just let the fresh air in, and then shut it all back up. And that's just, you know, getting at any bad energy that's in the place and making it feel like mine, and that sort of stuff. And yeah, and it leaves a nice smell that I'm familiar with. Once again, we forget, I don't know if you've ever done any work on anchoring, where we get anchored to certain feelings and emotions, and music is an incredible anchor. You can be really happy a song comes on the radio that was connected with an ex-partner or the death of someone you know, and suddenly you're in a mountain of tears, and vice versa. You hear a great song on the radio. Yeah. Yeehaw. And smell is very anchoring to us as well. So for me, sage, I've been in some great meditations and yoga with good friends with the smell of sage around. So it makes me feel warm and welcoming and relaxed, and
good vibes.
A good vibe for me. So having that around makes me feel good. And I'm very sensitive to perfumes and smells. So usually in a house I have to remove all of those because I actually get screaming headaches and feel nausea. So this is a smell that's very gentle and I tolerate well. And so I bring that into the house with me. Does that answer your questions?
It does. So basically cleansing the area and making it as familiar as you can for yourself.
Yeah, just little things, you know. So the main things are just, for me, I just think being really adaptable about your sleep pattern and just accepting that it may not be where you need right now. I'm sure a doctor will tell you should have 8 hours straight, but you know, as long as if you're getting 2 hours of really quality, deep, dreaming sleep and you do 4 patches of that, it's still better than having 8 hours of broken, unhappy, stressed, fitful sleep. So, you know, being adaptable in what your expectation is of good sleep, being adaptable in your environment, being adaptable in an airport situation, losing all your inhibitions around whether you can sleep in front of people, all of that. And then making the area just have a few little home comforts that make you feel at home, away from home, would be a big suggestion that I'd have.
Great. So you wouldn't take any sort of supplements to sleep? That was another question. A lady asked me, she must take sleeping tablets. I'm like, oh no, we don't take sleeping tablets. Definitely not Mel.
Yeah, definitely not Mel. No, I don't take any supplements in terms of sleep per se. Certainly not medications. I don't take any medication whatsoever. I probably, if you're lucky, once a year I'll take a Panadol or similar. I really avoid them like the plague. I do, however, take supplements for my health. I take vitamin and mineral supplements, and a very, very, very high grade one. Most of them available are absolutely garbage and I wouldn't recommend them to anybody, but I do take a very, very high quality supplement. And I truly believe that when you're fully nutritionally balanced and you're getting the exercise that you need, that every function in your body works better. And that includes sleep. That includes managing stress and sleep. So I do think from that point of view, I do supplement, and I would encourage the use of things like valerian, which is a relaxation herbal thing. And there's probably a few others around. So I don't use them, so I'm not recommending. You'd have to go and talk to a naturopath, or if there's any contraindications for that. But talk to a herbalist or someone or something like that. But just even the little things, like before bed having a herbal tea with chamomile or ginger, if that relaxes you. If you're not feeling the best, ginger helps your tummy. So settling your tummy down if you're feeling anxious and nervous, and mint tea, whatever vanilla is, I think is a really soothing, relaxing tea. I wouldn't be having lemon or citrus because it perks you up. You want to have something smooth and relaxing. And I think they're very great ways to naturally supplement, I suppose, if you want to call it that.
Okay, well, thank you, Mel. I shall pass on I'm sure they're going to watch the video.
Good.
And I've told them it's all about improving their health and looking after themselves so that body can settle. Meditation is fantastic. Yeah. And it doesn't just come like that either. It's training, you know.
Yeah. Maybe we should do a whole section on meditation another time.
Let's do that next time for sure. I'm sure they'll be definitely interested in that.
All right, Maddie. Well, I hope that's answered everything, and we will talk soon.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.